What's up, everyone? It's Shaletta. I'm here getting a phone for one of my newly minted teenagers with Xfinity Mobile. They've got great options, affordable plans, and solid coverage that works for our whole family. With Xfinity Mobile, my daughter can stay connected with me wherever she goes. And did you know when you sign up, you can get an extra phone line free for a full year? Switch to Xfinity Mobile today for more savings, more smiles, and more ways to stay connected.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Financially Fit Podcast. I am your host, Andre Creighton. I'm happy to be here with you all today. Wow, it's been a very eventful 2024, and I'm excited for what's to come in 2025, especially now that the election's passed us. As I always say, regardless of who you voted for, and we have our president now, and we all must get behind him. So the more that we can have continuity going into the new year, the better across all realms across the U.S. So it's going to be very important to see, what comes about in 2025 and beyond with some of the things that Trump might push with his cabinet. So, but today we are going to be talking about things that you can do here in December from a tax perspective to help set you on the right path come tax filing time here in April of 2025. So I know that we're in December now, and I know that there's not many days left. And this is typically what we see, especially from my background being in tax in my early career. A lot of people are scrambling at the end of the year in the last couple weeks, a lot coming in the coming days to be able to make some of these changes, to be able to put themselves in the best tax position possible. So we're going to fly through this. It's going to be 10 tips that you can do in 10 minutes. So the first tip that we want to talk about is, and this is the foundation of your financial strategy, is we need to review our financial situation. So we should be analyzing your income, your expenses to identify those potential deductions and credits that you can take advantage of before as tax time comes. So if you listen to episodes prior throughout this year, you will have heard me talk about budgeting, talk about how to calculate your net worth, and us being able to track those budgets on a quarterly basis minimally. Now, if you can track on a monthly basis, which is what I prefer and I do, but not everyone is maybe as I guess anal as I am when it comes to managing their finances. Quarterly is perfectly fine, but monthly would be the preference if you have the capability. So if you've been doing that along this time, you should have a nice spreadsheet that shows on a monthly, quarterly basis what your income has been, what your expenses have been, and if you are a freelancer and doing work from a 1099 perspective, hopefully you've been tracking those deductions throughout the year, because that's going to be important, because that's going to be a driving force to helping you save some money come tax time. So review your financial situation, find those potential deductions, and yet let's utilize them to put us in the best tax advantageous position as possible. The second one is, this is a great time to maximize our retirement contributions. So, if you have a retirement account, whether it's a 401k or IRA, this is a great time to think about uh, putting more money into those contributions and being able to maximize your returns, not only your returns, but also to help minimize your tax position. So and those tax liabilities. So right now, let's say what I would say is that if you're not familiar with what the IRS thresholds are for contributions on an IRA or any of those things, you can go to irs.gov. You can do some research on that. I'm not going to delve into all of those different, whether you're phased into that and the limits on those today. but I am going to give you the resource to find that information, which is irs.gov. And if there's still room within those limits to contribute and you have the funds and the wiggle room to do so, this is the perfect time to do that because it's only going to help you during tax time. The third one is you should be considering some tax loss harvesting. So if you are big into investing and you have done some of the investing things that we've talked about throughout this year, investing in various different stocks or mutual funds or whatever it may be, this is a good time if you have losing stocks or stocks that are not performing as well to sell off those underperforming investments to offset any gains, and obviously that will help lower your overall tax liability. So that is tremendously important right now. You know, my strategy around investing is a little different than a lot of people. Um, it's I look at, I'm a 34-year-old male, and I believe that I have 20, 30 more years worth of work, right? So I'm in this for the long haul. Unless a stock is like basically if if there's a stock that I have that is basically worthless, then I'll sell it off, right? Because I want those losses. But at the end of the day, what I always say is you don't lose until you sell. So if there's a stock that's underperforming, maybe it's a good time to buy more, right? And bring down that average cost, right? And hold for the long hauls. But if you are not, if you do not have a strategy like I do, uh, right now is probably a good time to consider maybe selling off some of those underperforming investments and offsetting some of those gains. The next thing is, and this is something that's very important to me. A lot of people give to charity for various reasons, whether they need a deduction or whether it's something immensely that they care about, right? And I think there's also just a combination of both. For me, it's a combination of both for me, but I lean more toward I want to give to organizations that I really care about that are doing very thoughtful things in our community and world to help create change. So if you haven't made any of those charitable donations this year, right now, if you have some extra funds, this is a good time to do so. Obviously, that's going to help with if you itemize to your deductions on your tax return. That's going to help bring down that tax liability as well. This is a good time if you have clothes or household goods that are lingering around that you need to get rid of, and maybe you're hoarding. This is a great time to do some winter cleaning. I know we talk a lot about spring cleaning, but this is a good time to do some winter cleaning and maybe go to your local Goodwill and drop those things off, or Salvation Army, whatever it may be, whatever's around you. This is a good time because you do get a deduction for that as well. So that is point number 4. Number 5 is you should be checking for those tax credits. As I mentioned, you can find a lot of this information on irs.gov. This is a good time to explore tax credits such as your earned income tax credit, and then also any educational related tax credits. So if you're in school, there may be some credits that may apply to you. Obviously, you need to make sure that you're checking the phase out limits. If you're in school and you're working as well, depending on how much money you're making, you could be phased out of some of these credits. But nonetheless, it's really good to do your due diligence on these. The 6th point is, and this is a very important one, but likely, you should have probably been doing this throughout the year. Now, there still is time to fix this if it is an issue, but you should be reviewing your withholding. So you should adjust your withholding based on your prior year's refund or taxes owed. So obviously, if you were in a refund situation, you were given a large refund. What that means is you gave the IRS a free money throughout the year to earn interest on. I would rather have that money throughout the year. The goal in any tax position is to net zero, to not get a return and to not owe any money, right? We want to get as close to zero as possible. And it's really hard to do so if you don't have a CPA. So that's why I always say that you need to have a good CPA or a good accountant in your backyard or in your back pocket, to be able to help you with some of these strategies. So, if you received a big refund, you might want to reduce your withholding. If you owed a lot of money, you might want to increase your withholding. And there's still time to do that before the end of the year. So consider that. Consider increasing or decreasing your withholding based on what you've seen historically throughout your life of filing taxes and your tax situation. The number seven is we need to organize our tax documents. That's not something that we want to wait going into the new year to do. This is a good time at the end of the year to organize those tax documents. Obviously, some of them are not going to come until early into the new year, like your W 2. There's deadlines for companies to provide that to you, your 1099s. But this is a good time if you are a 1099 employee, like you do any contracting or freelance work, you should be pulling those receipts that you've been keeping all year long, and you should be this will help you streamline kind of that filing process. So we want to organize these things into a file. Maybe if you have a big file cabinet, we want to organize these by year, and we want to always keep these for at least 7 years, right? Just in case there is ever an audit or something like that, you're randomly audited, you want to be able to have this information at available to you at any point in time. Number eight is we want to consult with a tax professional. So this, as I mentioned, it's a really good time if you don't have a CPA to seek a CPA. There's lots of them out there. You can go and find an independent CPA, which, if it's a person running their own firm or freelancing, it's going to be a lot cheaper than going to a firm, right? But also, you do have the backing with a firm, especially if you are doing lots of different things. You have lots of investments. Maybe you're doing some stocks, maybe you're doing some angel investing, maybe you have a couple of retirement accounts, maybe you own some real estate. Based on your situation, that should decide how sophisticated of a tax professional you need. And that doesn't mean that individual tax professionals are not sophisticated. But if you are doing a lot of those different things, it is nice to go to a firm because they will have people that specialize in various different realms of maybe the things that you're investing in. So it's nice to kind of have kind of that a la carte, more sophisticated focus on some of the things that you are doing within your financial realm. So right now is a good time to find a good CPA and figure out what your budget is to pay for a CPA and the tax professional. Number nine is, as I mentioned, I'll continue to mention this throughout the episode because I want to make sure no matter when you're tuning into this episode that you're getting this information. So you can go to irs.gov and you should be able to see the changes in tax law. So we want to be in December making sure that we understand what laws are changing in 2025, and we want to be proactive about how does this affect my financial situation and changing those things as quickly as possible. For instance, I'll give you an example. I'm not going to go through all of the infinite things in tax changes that there are, but every year, HSA and FSA contribution limits change, retirement limits change. This is a good time to review those things so you understand what is the max amount that I can put into an HSA, FSA, or a retirement account. So you are optimizing on your tax position into 2025. And I guess the last one kind of goes hand in hand with number nine. It's the plan for the future. So we want to put ourselves in the most tax advantageous position as possible going into the years to come. So staying on top of those new regulations that are coming about are going to be so important. Adjusting your investments are going to be important going into the new year. Obviously, we have seen tremendous growth in the market in the recent months, but there were times where the market was down, right? And I'm sure that maybe when the market was down, some of you moved your money to bonds because they're safer, especially if you're getting towards that retirement age. You want to make sure that you have your money in a more secure place, so there's less volatility in your investment. So right now, consider what's happening in your life. Am I getting married next year? Am I expanding my family next year? Am I retiring next year? Am I moving to a different state or city or country? Whatever it may be, we want to evaluate what are the things that are happening in my life and how does that affect my financial situation? And how can I optimize on these tax positions to continue to put myself in the most um, advantageous financial position to reach that financial freedom, right? So we went through 10 points, maybe a little bit over 10 minutes. I tried to speed through them as much as possible, but this was meant to be a very quick episode. Hopefully, you got something out of this, but there's a lot of things that can be done in these next 14 days that we have left in this year to be able to put ourselves in the best position possible for 2025. So, with that being said, as I always say, it's not about how much money you make. The power is in how much money you keep. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Andre Creighton. I look forward to seeing you all on the next podcast of Financially Fit with Andre Creighton. Take care.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.